AITA for exposing my girlfriend's affair right before I proposed at a crowded festival? I'm a 29-year-old man, a project coordinator at a mid-sized tech company. Good salary. I own my condo downtown. I was with Madeline, 27, for 4 years. I thought she was the one. Turns out, she thought so too. Just not with me. Let me back up and give you the full picture before we get to the nuclear meltdown. Madeline, a fake name obviously, and I met through mutual friends at a game night. For the first 3 years, everything was solid. Then I decided to propose. Or rather, I started planning the proposal because apparently there's a difference between I'm going to marry this person and I'm going to ask this person to marry me. A difference I failed to appreciate until it was far too late. Madeline had been dropping hints for months, and they weren't subtle. We're talking entire Pinterest boards left open on her laptop, jewelry store windows, where she'd stop and stare. Casual comments about how some men just know when the time is right. Every time we saw engagement announcements on social media, I wasn't dragging my feet out of fear or commitment issues. I was planning something special. You see, Madeline had been obsessed with the Summer Lights Festival since January. It's a huge annual event in our city, with art installations everywhere, live music on multiple stages, and thousands of paper lanterns that light up the night sky. Last year, she called it the most magical place on earth, and I'm pretty sure she wasn't exaggerating, so I knew that's where I would ask her to marry me. I started planning in March. I called the festival organizers, explained my situation, and asked if they could help me set up something special. They were incredible. They helped me coordinate an entire elaborate setup by the lake, where hundreds of lanterns would spell out, "Will you marry me?" while her favorite local band played our song. It was all going to be automated, perfectly timed, with her best friend Alyssa guiding her to the exact spot at the exact right moment. It cost me $12,000. Between the custom lantern arrangement, paying the band, securing the premium lakeside viewing area, and all the coordination fees, I basically emptied my savings. But Madeline was worth it, or so I thought. The ring was a whole other story. 2 years ago, we were walking downtown when Madeline froze in front of a vintage jewelry shop. In the window was a sapphire ring, a deep blue stone surrounded by tiny diamonds in a very intricate vintage design. She literally grabbed my arm and said, "If anyone ever proposes to me, that's the ring." I went back the next day. The ring cost $8,000 and had already been sold. The jeweler told me it was a one-of-a-kind heirloom piece from the 1920s. I was devastated, but he said he'd keep an eye out if anything similar came up. 6 months later, he called me. He'd found an almost identical ring at an estate sale in Connecticut. The setting was slightly different, but the same style, same color sapphire, same vintage aesthetic. I wanted it. I worked overtime for 3 months to afford it. I took on every extra project at work, ate ramen noodles for lunch, canceled my gym membership, and started jogging outside. But I got that ring. I've been carrying it in my jacket pocket for the last 2 months, waiting for the perfect moment I'd spent half a year planning. Everything was set. The festival was this past Saturday. The proposal was scheduled for 9 p.m., just as the sun would set over the lake. Alyssa knew every detail. She was supposed to text me when they arrived, keep Madeline busy until 8:45, then casually suggest they walk over to the lake for a better view of the lanterns. I even did a dry run the day before with the festival organizers to make sure the timing was perfect. On Friday afternoon, Madeline texted me saying she was going to the festival on Saturday with Alyssa and some friends from work. I told her I'd meet her there around 8 p.m. after I finished some errands. The errands were actually me stopping by the festival one last time and making sure the ring box wasn't disintegrating in my pocket from nervous sweat. On Saturday, I got there early, embarrassingly early. At 6 p.m., when the festival opened, even though the proposal wasn't until 9 p.m., I was too antsy to stay home. I figured I'd walk around a bit, grab some food, and try to calm my nerves before the biggest moment of my life. The festival was incredible. Art installations everywhere, lights strung between the trees, food trucks serving everything from tacos to fancy crepes. The paper lanterns weren't lit yet. That would happen after sunset, but you could already see them strung up everywhere, waiting. Around 7:30 p.m., I decided to swing by the lake area one more time, just to make sure the spot was still clear and the organizers had everything ready. That's when I saw them. Madeline was wearing the blue sundress I bought her for her birthday, the one she said made her feel beautiful. Her hair was down, catching the sunset light, and she was laughing at something. But she wasn't with Alyssa. She was with Cameron. Cameron, 31, her new coworker, who had started at her company 3 months ago. The same Cameron she'd been mentioning in conversations with increasing frequency. Cameron thinks we should try that new Thai place. Cameron is really good at presentations. Maybe you could ask him for some tips. Cameron is from California. He has some really interesting perspectives on work-life balance. The same Cameron I asked her about a month ago after the 5th time she brought him up in a single day. Should I be worried about this guy? I asked, trying to keep my tone light. She'd laughed and kissed my cheek. Don't be ridiculous. He's just a coworker. Besides, he's totally not my type. There, standing at the festival, watching them together, I realized exactly what her type was. They were actually holding hands, weren't they? Not the accidental brush of fingers that happens in a crowd. Their hands were fully intertwined, fingers locked together as if they'd done it 1,000 times before, as if it were natural, as if they belonged. Madeline was looking up at Cameron with a soft, adoring expression I thought was reserved only for me. He said something, and she laughed. That genuine, deep from the chest laugh that makes her eyes crinkle. I just stood there, frozen, watching them walk through the festival like they were the happy couple, like they were the ones with a future together. They stopped at a stand for fancy caramel apples with different toppings and sauces. Cameron ordered for both of them without asking what she wanted, which meant he already knew. He knew she always got the classic with sea salt caramel. He knew her order. When a bit of caramel got on her chin, he reached up and wiped it away with his thumb, slow, intimate, a gesture that was worlds away from just co-workers. And Madeline blushed. This woman I had been with for 4 years, whom I had seen in every possible state and situation, actually blushed at another man's touch. That's when I knew this wasn't some new work crush. This wasn't innocent. They'd been together long enough to have inside jokes, know each other's food orders, and touch without hesitation. I should have confronted them. I should have walked right over there and demanded an explanation from Madeline in front of everyone. But I didn't. Instead, I turned and walked back through the festival in a complete daze. I clutched the ring box in my pocket so hard my knuckles turned white. My vision blurred. Not from tears, I wasn't giving them that satisfaction yet, but from pure shock and rage. The proposal was already paid for, already scheduled. The lanterns, the band, the lakeside spot, it was all automated, set to go off at 9 p.m. whether I was there or not. I sat in my car in the festival parking lot for about 20 minutes, trying to process what I had just seen, trying to decide what to do. The rational part of my brain was screaming at me to cancel everything, salvage what I could, protect myself. But there was another part, a part so hurt and furious that it wanted them to see it, wanted everyone to see it. That's when I called Mitchell, the festival coordinator. Hey Mitchell, it's me. Listen, I can't do the proposal tonight. Something came up, a family emergency. Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. Do you want to reschedule? We could probably move everything to next month. No, the setup's already paid for, right? It's all automated. Yeah, everything's set to go for 9 p.m. The lanterns, the band, everything. Then just let it run. If someone else wants to use it, let them. I don't care anymore. Just don't let it go to waste. There was a pause. Are you sure? It's a pretty elaborate setup. We could store it for. I'm sure. Whoever wants it can have it. Maybe someone else can have their perfect moment. I hung up before he could argue. Then I drove to the cheapest motel I could find. I checked in using the emergency credit card I kept for actual emergencies and sat in the dark, staring at the velvet ring box. For years of Saturday morning farmers markets and Wednesday night cooking experiments. For years of inside jokes and comfortable silences. For years of planning a future that apparently only I believed in. The ring inside the box seemed to mock me, catching the dim parking lot light filtering through the dusty motel curtains. All those extra hours, all that planning, all that hope. I thought about the lake, about the lanterns spelling out, "Will you marry me?" in exactly 47 minutes, about the band that would start playing our song, about some random stranger who might end up living the perfect proposal I'd spent half a year orchestrating. At least someone's night would be magical. At least some good would come out of this nightmare. I didn't sleep. I just sat in that horrible motel room, still in my festival clothes, holding the ring box and trying to figure out how you're supposed to keep breathing when your entire future suddenly evaporates. Around 9:15 p.m., My phone, which I'd turned off after calling Mitchell, started buzzing with notification after notification. I didn't check it. I didn't want to see Madeline's messages, her excuses, her lies. I finally drifted off around 4 a.m., still fully clothed, the ring box on the nightstand like some sort of overpriced paperweight marking the death of everything I believed in. On Sunday morning, I woke up to 37 missed calls and a phone that was practically having a seizure from all the notifications. Most were from Madeline, each text message more frantic than the last. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? This isn't funny. We need to talk right now. I can't believe you're being so childish about this. And then the last one, the one that made my blood run cold. Riverstone Coffee, 2 p.m. Don't bother coming back to the apartment if you don't show up. The apartment. My apartment. The condo I owned, where she had been living rent-free for the past 8 months after her lease ended, and we decided it made sense for her to move in with me. The irony of her threatening to kick me out of my own place, while simultaneously demanding I show up to see her, was almost funny. Almost. I got there at 1:45 p.m. I arrived early, ordered my usual coffee, and sat at a corner table watching the door. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the mug. At exactly 2 p.m., Madeline walked in. She was still wearing that blue festival dress. Hair perfectly done, makeup flawless. And on her left hand, catching the afternoon sunlight streaming through the coffee shop windows, was a ring. No, it wasn't my ring. It was a cheap festival trinket, the kind that probably cost about $20 from one of the vendor stalls. A thin silver band with a tiny little stone that might as well have been glass for all I knew. But the way she walked in, head high, shoulders back, with that look on her face, she hadn't come to apologize. She'd come to gloat. Madeline marched right up to my table without even looking at the counter. No vanilla latte today. She was too excited to bother with coffee. She didn't sit, just stood there, vibrating with an energy I'd never seen from her. It wasn't anger or guilt. It was pure, radiant triumph. "I'm done waiting for you to grow up," she announced, just loud enough for other patrons to turn and look. 4 years of my life. For years. And what do I have to show for it? Maybe a few dates and empty promises of someday, and when the time is right. My mouth was completely dry. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. She shoved her left hand in my face, that cheap ring glinting under the lights. "Cameron proposed to me last night at the Summer Lights Festival. It was absolutely perfect. The lanterns, the music, that incredible setup by the lake with our song playing. It was all so magical." The coffee shop seemed to tilt sideways. My proposal, my lanterns, my song, my lakeside spot. The entire thing I had spent months planning and all my savings on. Cameron had used it all. You know the best part? Madeline was on a roll now, her voice dripping with vindication. "Cameron has known me for 3 months. 3 months. And he managed to do what you couldn't in 4 years. He didn't need hints. He didn't need me to point out rings and windows. He just knew." She laughed, and it was the cruelest sound that had ever come out of her mouth. "God, remember that vintage sapphire ring I showed you 2 years ago? The one at the downtown jewelry store. I talked about it for months, and you just forgot or didn't care." Meanwhile, Cameron actually had the courage to commit. Sure, it's just a festival ring for now, but at least he wasn't afraid to ask. Something inside me snapped. With shaking hands, I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the velvet box. The sound it made as it landed on the table seemed to echo through the entire coffee shop. "You mean this ring?" I opened the box. Madeline's face went from triumphant to ghostly white in less than a second. Her hand flew to her mouth. The cheap festival ring suddenly looked even more pathetic in comparison. "The exact ring you wanted," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Took me 6 months to track one down from an estate sale in Connecticut. I worked 3 months of overtime to afford it." She was frozen, staring at the ring like it was a hallucination. "The lanterns," I continued, feeling each word being pulled from the very depths of my chest. "The music, the lakeside setup, that was all me, Madeline. Every single detail. I've been planning it since March. I spent $12,000 on everything." "No," she whispered. "No, that's not. I saw you Friday night at the festival, holding hands with Cameron, sharing that caramel apple, looking at him." My voice broke. "The way you used to look at me." The coffee shop had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching. "So I left," I said. "I called the festival coordinator and told him anyone could use the setup, that I didn't care anymore, that maybe someone else deserved that perfect moment. I looked her right in the eye as tears started streaming down her face. I just never imagined it would be my girlfriend's lover proposing with my perfect proposal. I didn't know, Madeline stammered, grabbing the table to steady herself. I swear, I didn't know that was. Of course you didn't know, I shot back. Because you were too busy cheating on me to notice I was planning our future. Several people in the coffee shop were now pulling out their phones and recording. A part of me knew this was going to end up on social media. I didn't care. Madeline was sobbing now. Please, please, we can fix this. I made a mistake. I was confused. Cameron was new and exciting, and you just what? Decided to try him out before you committed to me. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. Because from where I'm standing, you spent 4 years complaining that I wasn't committing fast enough while I was literally orchestrating the proposal of your dreams. And the second some new guy showed interest, you threw everything we had away. I pushed the velvet box across the table toward her. Congratulations on your engagement, Madeline. I truly hope that festival ring doesn't turn your finger green. I guess it's fitting. A cheap ring for a cheap ending to what I thought was something real. I walked toward the door, leaving her standing there, sobbing, clinging to the table, that stupid cheap ring reflecting the light mockingly. Wait, she cried out behind me. Please, you don't understand. I turned back one last time. I understand perfectly. Enjoy your magical festival proposal. Just remember every single detail of that night. Every lantern, every note of music, every perfectly timed moment. That was all meant for us, and you gave it away for someone who couldn't even buy you a real ring. I left her there, surrounded by shocked coffee shop patrons and the dawning realization of what she had truly done. My phone started ringing before I even got to the car. Madeline. I declined the call. She called again. Declined again. I finally turned the phone off and drove back to that same motel. I couldn't face going back to my apartment yet, knowing all her things were still there, mixed in with mine, as if our lives had actually merged. I sat in that motel room for hours, just staring into space, processing everything. The ring was gone, still sitting on the coffee shop table unless Madeline had the audacity to take it. Part of me hoped she did, just so she'd have to look at it every day and remember what she destroyed. But something was bothering me. Something about the whole situation didn't add up. The timing had been too perfect. Cameron somehow knew to be at that exact spot by the lake at that exact time. He knew when the lanterns would light up, when the band would start playing, where to stand for the optimal view. That level of coordination doesn't happen by accident. Someone had told him. Alyssa, Madeline's best friend of 10 years. The same Alyssa who had helped me plan every detail of the proposal, who had promised to guide Madeline to the perfect spot at the perfect time, who had gushed over the ring and called my plan the most romantic thing ever. The same Alyssa who had been suspiciously absent from all of Madeline's frantic messages. I turned my phone back on and called her. She answered on the second ring, her voice artificially bright. Hey, I've been trying to reach you. Park Cafe. 20 minutes. Don't even think about saying no. There was a long pause. Okay, she said quietly. I got there first. I ordered water because my stomach couldn't handle anything else. And I watched the door. Alyssa walked in looking guilty before she even sat down. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. You knew, I said before she could speak. You knew about Cameron and Madeline. She stared down at her hands, unable to even look at me. Since when? 2 months, she whispered. It started with them getting coffee together, then lunch, and then. And you didn't think to tell me, your supposed friend, who entrusted you with the most important moment of his life. I tried to tell Madeline to end it, to be honest with you. But she said, I don't care what she said. I cut her off. You helped him steal my proposal. Alyssa's eyes finally met mine, filled with tears. When I saw them together at the festival, they just looked so happy, so in love. Cameron was already talking about wanting to propose anyway, and the setup was already there. And I just thought. You thought what? That it was destiny? That stealing another man's proposal was somehow romantic. He wasn't afraid. Alyssa blurted out suddenly. Cameron wasn't dragging his feet or waiting for the perfect moment or making excuses. He saw what he wanted and went for it. You had that ring for months. I had the ring for exactly 6 months while I planned the perfect proposal at the event Madeline was obsessed with. The proposal you helped me plan. My voice had risen enough for other customers to look over. I forced myself to take a breath. You want to know the really twisted part? I leaned forward, my voice dropping until it was cold and sharp. I saw them together before it all happened. I left. I called the coordinator and told him anyone could use the setup because I wanted some good to come out of my pain. I tried to do one decent thing. I laughed, and it sounded a little unhinged, even to my own ears. But you made sure it went to them. You actively handed over my proposal, my plan, my money, my moment, to the guy my girlfriend was cheating on me with. How long did you practice looking me in the eye while you were planning that? I thought I was helping Madeline find happiness, Alyssa sobbed. Congratulations, you did a fantastic job. Madeline's engaged to a guy who proposed using stolen goods with a setup paid for by the boyfriend he was cheating with. A real fairy tale. I stood up, leaving money on the table for the water. You know the worst part? Today, in that coffee shop, Madeline threw our 4 years in my face. She called me a coward for not proposing sooner, and you sat there for months knowing I was planning the perfect proposal and still helped them destroy everything. Please, she reached out to touch my arm. You have to understand. I pulled away from her touch like it burned. I understand perfectly. You're not Madeline's best friend. You're a saboteur who can't stand to see anyone else happy because your own life is a mess. I hope you're proud of your matchmaking skills. I left her crying at that table, just like I'd left Madeline crying at the coffee shop. I was starting to see a pattern here. 3 days later, I was in Morton's Market buying groceries, mostly frozen dinners and energy drinks, because cooking felt impossible. Then I heard that familiar laugh, Madeline's laugh, the one that used to be music to my ears and now sounded like nails on a chalkboard. They were standing in the coffee aisle. Madeline, Cameron, and Alyssa, the 3 musketeers of betrayal. Madeline was wearing my Christmas sweater, the green one I bought her last year, and her hand was linked with Cameron's, showing off that pathetic festival ring. Alyssa was talking animatedly about something, probably planning their sham wedding. I could have walked away. I should have walked away. My therapist, yes, I started seeing one after the coffee shop incident, would have wanted me to walk away. Then Cameron saw me, and he smirked. He actually smirked. Hey, buddy, he called out, his voice dripping with false friendliness. Never got a chance to thank you for that incredible proposal setup. The lanterns, the music, everything. Pure genius. Couldn't have planned it better myself. Everything went red. The color drained from Madeline's face. Alyssa grabbed her arm, trying to pull her toward the exit, but Cameron was on a roll, clearly emboldened with his new fiancée by his side. That lakeside spot, perfect lighting for the photos. Alyssa told me you spent months planning every detail. I really appreciate you doing all the heavy lifting. He grinned wider. Guess someone had to have the guts to actually use it, right? I don't remember consciously deciding to move. 1 second I was standing by my shopping cart. The next, there was an incident. He stumbled backward into a display of coffee cans, which came crashing to the floor. Several shoppers gasped. You smug piece of trash, I said, shaking out my hand. My knuckles were already swelling. You think this is funny? Stealing another man's girlfriend? Using a proposal that wasn't meant for you? Stop it, Madeline shrieked, helping a dazed Cameron to his feet. His lip was bleeding. Are you insane? Oh no, Madeline. Let him talk. I laughed, and even I could hear how unhinged it sounded. Let your brave new fiancé tell everyone how he proposed. Go on, Cameron. Tell them about the lanterns I paid for, the music I chose, the spot I picked out. Tell them how you just swooped in and stole 4 years of planning in a single night. I didn't steal anything, Cameron said, wiping blood from his lip with the back of his hand. His smirk was gone now. She chose me. Yeah, she chose you after what? A few coffee breaks? Some late nights at the office? Real classy, both of you. I turned on Alyssa, who was trying to disappear behind a display of cereal boxes. And you, the puppet master. How long did you practice betraying someone who trusted you? Was it hard to look me in the eye while you planned to hand everything over? It wasn't like that, Alyssa whispered, tears streaming down her face. No? Then what was it like? Enlighten me, because from where I'm standing, the 3 of you are perfect for each other. The cheater, the thief, and the backstabber. Store security was already approaching. I could see them out of the corner of my eye. You know what? You deserve each other. Seriously, the perfect team. I hope you frame those proposal pictures, Madeline. Put them right next to all those pictures of us you've probably already deleted. They'll make a great story for the wedding. How your husband proposed using your ex-boyfriend's plan. You need to leave, Cameron said, trying to sound tough despite his split lip. Or what? I asked. Or what are you going to do? Call security. I took a step toward him, my voice low. Go ahead. Tell them how you stole another man's proposal. I'm sure that'll make you look great. 2 security guards walked up to us. Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. I picked up my dropped basket and looked at the 3 of them one last time. Madeline was clinging to Cameron's arm. Alyssa was hiding behind them both, all 3 wearing the same expression of shock and guilt. You know what? You deserve each other. You really do. The perfect trio built on lies and stolen moments. I turned to the guards. I'm already leaving, don't worry. As I walked away, I heard Madeline say my name, that desperate tone she used when she wanted something. But this time I didn't even slow down. Outside in the parking lot, my hand was throbbing. I probably shouldn't have gotten physical. I definitely shouldn't have done it in a public place. But watching his smug face twist in pain had been the first good thing I'd felt in days. That night, my friend Derek called. Dude, are you okay? I just saw a video of you in a serious situation at Morton's Market circulating on social media. Of course it was on social media, because my life had become some kind of viral cautionary tale. I'm fine. He deserved it. That was the festival proposal guy, man. Yeah. Good. You showed incredible restraint. Derek talked me into going to the annual Heritage Day festival the following weekend. You can't hide forever, man. Besides, the whole town's gonna be there. Mingle, get some food. Remember there's a life outside this mess. I almost said no. The last thing I wanted was to be surrounded by happy couples and festive celebrations. But staying in my apartment that still smelled like Madeline's perfume, that still had her things mixed in with mine, was driving me crazy. So I went. Heritage Day is huge in our city. The entire downtown is shut down for music, food stalls, art exhibits, and a giant stage where local bands play and community leaders give speeches. Thousands of people attend. That's where I saw them again. Madeline, Cameron, and Alyssa were near the main stage, laughing with a group of mutual friends. Madeline was showing off that stupid festival ring, no doubt telling her romantic proposal story for the 100th time. The story had even made the local news. Magical festival proposal goes viral, with pictures of the lanterns and everything. My proposal had become their love story. The thing I created was being celebrated as if it belonged to them. Something inside me didn't break. Maybe something finally snapped into place. The event MC had just announced the evening's lineup and set the microphone down on the stage. Before I could think twice, before Derek could grab my arm, I was walking up the stage steps and grabbing the microphone. Hey, everyone. My voice boomed through the speakers, echoing across the festival grounds. Sorry to interrupt the celebration, but I have a story you all need to hear. The crowd started turning toward me. I saw the color drain from Madeline's face. Cameron started trying to push through the crowd, but he was too far away to stop me. Now, you know that magical festival proposal everyone's been sharing on social media? The one with the lanterns spelling out, "Will you marry me?" and the romantic lakeside setup? People were pulling out their phones, recording. Well, that was my proposal. I spent 6 months planning every detail. I pulled out my phone and swiped to my photo gallery. Here's the receipt for the lanterns, the contract with the festival organizers, the emails coordinating every minute. You want to see them? The crowd was murmuring now, confused, interested. But here's where it gets interesting. The night of that proposal, I caught my girlfriend holding hands with her coworker, the same guy who ended up proposing to her using my setup. And you know who helped him steal it? Her best friend, Alyssa, who had spent months helping me plan the original proposal. Alyssa tried to shrink into the crowd. Cameron had stopped moving, frozen. Madeline looked like she was about to faint. So for everyone who shared those proposal videos and called it the most romantic thing in the world, you were absolutely right. It was romantic, because I designed it to be. I just didn't expect my girlfriend's lover to steal it, or her best friend to hand it to him on a silver platter. Shut up. Cameron finally found his voice. He's just jealous. I laughed into the microphone. Jealous of what? A guy who couldn't even plan his own proposal? Who had to steal someone else's moment? The only thing original about you is that ring, and we can all see how much thought you put into that. The crowd turned to look at Cameron, Madeline, and Alyssa. You could see disgust on people's faces now. Judgment. The phones were definitely on them now. So congratulations, Cameron and Madeline. You got your perfect viral proposal. I hope it was worth destroying 4 years of love and trust. I looked directly at Alyssa. And you, Alyssa, next time you help someone steal a proposal, make sure he's man enough to face the truth when it comes out. I put the microphone down and walked off the stage. The crowd parted for me like I was royalty. Behind me, I heard Madeline sobbing, Alyssa trying to defend herself, and Cameron stammering excuses to the people around him. The video went viral within hours. Real viral. Millions of views. The hashtag stolen proposal started trending. The local news picked it up. People started commenting on the original proposal videos, revealing the truth. Cameron left town 3 days later. Apparently, being known as the guy who stole another man's proposal wasn't great for his career or reputation. He didn't even say goodbye to Madeline, just left a note and disappeared. Madeline threw the festival ring into the river during what I heard was a very dramatic crying session with Alyssa. The friendship didn't survive either. Apparently, being publicly outed as a backstabber and an accomplice has consequences. Karma, as they say, is patient, but it's brutal. A month later, there was a knock on my apartment door at 11 p.m. I had finally cleared out all of Madeline's things the week before. Donated most of it, threw the rest away. I even bought a new couch because the old one had too many memories attached to it. I'd also adopted a rescue dog, a scruffy little mutt with mismatched ears and a crooked tail that nobody else wanted. I named her Scout because at least one of us should be. When I opened the door, it was Madeline. Mascara running, hair a mess, wearing sweatpants and an old college sweatshirt. She looked terrible. I made a horrible mistake, she sobbed, trying to push past me. Please, can we just talk? I blocked the doorway with my arm. Scout was growling behind me. Good girl. You actually made several mistakes. Which one are we talking about? The cheating, the stolen proposal, letting your rebound boyfriend abandon you after it all blew up? Please, she whispered, her voice cracking. I was stupid. I got caught up in the excitement with Cameron. He was new and interesting, and I didn't realize what I had until he took off the second things got tough. Yeah, funny how that works. Behind me, Scout's growl intensified. She had good instincts about toxic people. I threw away 4 years for nothing. Madeline was full-on crying now. You were going to propose. You had the perfect ring, the perfect plan, and I ruined everything because I was too stupid to see what was right in front of me. Hindsight's pretty brutal, isn't it? Can we please just talk? I miss you. I miss our life together. Scout, I said firmly, making both Madeline and the dog jump. No biting the furniture. Scout trotted over to me, tail wagging, completely ignoring Madeline's presence. I scratched her crooked ears. Madeline looked at the dog, then at me. You got a dog? Yeah, found her at the shelter. They didn't want her. She's a little scruffy. Had some bad habits from her last situation. I smiled for the first time. But unlike certain beings I know, she's actually loyal. That's cruel, Madeline whispered. Cruel? You want to know what's cruel? I kept my voice calm. Cruel is watching the woman you love hold hands with another man the night you plan to propose. Cruel is having your perfect proposal stolen and used against you. Cruel is standing in a coffee shop while your girlfriend throws 4 years in your face because she thinks you're a coward. Scout leaned against my leg, sensing my tension. I still love you. Madeline tried one last time. We can fix this. We can start over. I'll do anything. No, you don't love me. You love the idea of safety, the backup plan, the reliable boyfriend you took for granted until he wasn't there anymore. I stepped back into my apartment. Go home, Madeline. Find someone else to manipulate. I'm done. Please. No. I closed the door on her protests. Inside, Scout hopped up on the couch, something I never would have let Madeline do, and looked at me with her crooked smile. Good girl, I said, scratching under her chin. At least you know what loyalty means. I could still hear Madeline crying outside, but for the first time since the festival, the sound didn't hurt. It just felt empty, like listening to a stranger's problems. Eventually, she left. Probably went back to her parents' house, where she'd been staying. Probably cried to Alyssa about how cruel I was being. Probably still didn't understand that actions have consequences. I settled onto the couch with Scout, who immediately curled up beside me, resting her scruffy head on my lap. Sometimes the best revenge isn't exposing the truth or watching karma do its work. It's finding peace with someone who actually deserves your love. Comment. I know this story brings up some really strong emotions for many of us. It truly highlights the importance of knowing your own value, especially when someone else tries to diminish it. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to set a firm boundary and walk away from what hurts you. While standing up for the truth is necessary, true healing begins when we shift our focus from getting even to getting well. We can't control the actions of others, but we always have the power to take responsibility for our own peace. Being kind to yourself means choosing environments and relationships that build you up, not tear you down. The path forward isn't always easy, but it starts with the quiet decision to put your well-being first. It's about finding new sources of joy and loyalty, often in the most unexpected places. Remember to be patient with your own healing journey. You deserve a future defined by peace and respect, not past pain. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.